Hi, everybody. This is Starting Out Bright. Good to see you all. And I'm so happy to be here with you and our special guest tonight. In case we have not met before, my name is Noreen Savage. And I want you to know up front, this is nothing official with Bright Line Eating. But I will tell you just a very quick reason why we're doing the Zooms. So it was 2 years ago, this coming May. I cannot believe how the time has gone by. But I happened to see a post on Facebook by my friend Lori, and she posted that she lost 57 pounds. Anybody interested? Send her a message, and we would find all out about it. So I zoomed right over there, and she proceeded to tell me, in case you're new to Bright Line Eating, there are 4 bright lines: no sugar, no flour, 3 meals a day, and weighed and measured portions. And to all that, I thought, Lori, there is no way. There is no way I could do that. But pain in my knee and back and feet and a little bit more time, and I became willing, and I have not looked back. But in meeting up with Lori, she mentioned to get into the community, and she suggested we eat bright with lines. And since then, there are many, many groups, including Starting Out Bright, which is the private group associated with this and where you can find the replays pretty easily. And so I got in that, and I was just kind of in the background, and I became, really willing to do that. And I decided that if I lasted 1 year on Bright Line Eating, I would do the same as Lori. I would post on my private Facebook page, and I would help anybody I could. Well, just before that, my spirit, I'm a Christian, and I felt like God was telling me, you can do more than that, Noreen. It was the time of Zooms. And so this is where the idea of connecting people who have been in the program and those who are new or resuming, to give them hope. And that's what this is about. And I know tonight there will be a lot of that with our special guest. I want to welcome so much Karen Roche. And I also first want to say right off the bat, Karen, you are such a trooper. I know that you got into poison ivy this week, and so that can't be very comfortable, but thank you so much for being here. And I told a little bit about my story. I don't know quite where to start always, because I know that you come from a little bit bigger numbers, like I am too, but you're not there anymore. So where would you like to start? Where would you like to start to tell your story?
I joined on January 23rd, 2017. A friend of mine was in Boston for the holidays, and we were commiserating over weight. And then she called me mid-January and said, "Hey, have you heard of Bright Line Eating?" And I said, "No." And she pointed me in the direction. And I said, "Oh, God, no, I don't think I can do no sugar, no flour, and all this." And, I'm a lifelong trying to lose weight person. I was thin as a kid, but packed it on after that. And so I had done Weight Watchers and Atkins and Jenny Craig and you name it. And I was paying Weight Watchers every month and not.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
Even if you don't go.
Yeah.
Even if you don't go, then you pay catch up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they do. So I was intrigued by the science, and I was intrigued by the fact that there was no exercise that I saw in this video. When I joined, the boot camp was going to start within a few days, so I didn't really have time to ponder. There was no book. I hadn't heard if there was a 14-day challenge, so I just jumped into the boot camp. So that was the end of January, and then mid-February, we had a prearranged trip to an all-inclusive in the Caribbean with another couple. And I have a bad back, so I lied about why I wasn't drinking. I said that the new medication would be interfered by the alcohol. So then I lost some weight on that trip. And then
Amazing.
in March, we went to California and I slipped off, and I had NMD and NMF and got sick.
And for someone who's new on the call or who's watching this, and thank you for letting us record it, NMD is not my drink. Could be alcohol, could be a sugar drink, anything like that. And NMF is not my food. Things that are not on the plan.
Yeah. So that was March 27th of 2017, and that's the last time I had NMD. I can't
Wow.
say it was the last time I had NMF because I'm on day, I think it's 1,543. I count every day since January 23rd because every day has been a learning experience, but they all haven't been bright. They all haven't been perfect. That's how I ended up joining. And I was in a boot camp group called Hearth House. And if you were here for the beginning, you saw the mastermind group that's been together for 4 years, and my buddy who lives in the Netherlands for 4 years.
Just so amazing. That is incredible. And I want to talk about that too. But when you're talking about the science, I put the audio version of the book on just as I'm driving.
Mm-hmm.
And this was my week to work in work instead of remotely. So I was listening, and Susan was talking about this dopamine down regulation, like how it's thinning out. And there was a sentence that popped in my ear when she said, just the thought that it's hurting you to think about giving up sugar and flour tells you that grab on you. Those aren't exactly her words, but boy, did that speak to me, because I remember that feeling like, oh man, this is going to be sad. This is going to be terrible in that kind of distance to just those kinds of food.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
they mean so much to us in our lifetimes. Food has, this emotional pull and just, something to do. Plus it tastes good.
And food is love.
Right.
But for me, food was also how I fed a hole. I fed stress. I'm definitely an emotional eater. So food was not just at social situations. It was something, as I said, to feed me either feeling slighted or feeling stressed or tired out or whatever.
Well, and I remember like the other day, and this was really great that we could talk. What was it, a week ago now? And just overall topics of what might be interesting in your particular journey. And I remember you saying that as an executive flying around the world, that you had to get everything all set, but then you had to be there alone in the hotel room.
Yeah.
And that's another, I don't know, just feeding that pressure maybe.
I'm basically a person who gathers their strength from being in my own home. But I had a career in, as you said, in technology management on an international level. And so I would be everywhere. Yeah. And then feeling the stress and the away from home and all of those other things. I must say too, is I changed careers completely in my late 50s. I just turned 70 this year. And my late 50s, I went back and got a master's degree in social work and worked in medical social work. So the science really appealed to me. Plus, there was something that Susan Pierce Thompson said too about how most of the people, or a vast majority of people, are people that have been successful in other aspects of their life, but haven't been able to manage their weight. And I was like, whoa, that was, I felt me.
Right. And I would definitely say that for myself too. I just thought, what is the missing piece here? Like it wasn't from lack of trying. That was one thing I gave myself, that I was actually trying all the time, like legit trying, not just like talking about it. And
Yeah.
in fact, that's why in the beginning, I didn't even tell my husband for 3 weeks I was practicing. He's the cook in the family, but I didn't want to be talked out of it like it's just another diet.
Yeah.
And yet, he's my greatest supporter and
Yeah.
he's always been into like natural food. So it was great. And he didn't have a sugar tooth at all. In fact, at the
Yeah.
1 year mark for myself and susceptibility, and what is your susceptibility?
10.
A 10. Yeah. I'm a 10 too. And so at the 1 year mark, I had him take the quiz and he was a 1. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
Eh,
wow.
My husband is also my greatest support. And along these last 4 years too, I shared with you that my husband died 2 years ago. But he was my greatest support. I can still hear him in my head. He was the kind of person that would he didn't understand the food addiction piece. I didn't understand it. In fact, I refused to label myself as a food addict for a long time. But he had a particular thing he really liked, and I can't say it because it's NMD. Oh, NMF. And he would count out 10 of them every night in a little dish and watch TV and eat the 10. How did he do
That's
that?
so silly.
It drives me crazy. I was like, give me the bag.
Like, why? Yeah, that reminds me of my husband when he took the quiz and he asked me questions like, what do you mean sneaking food? I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
no,
What do
I
you
don't
mean
know. It
by
just is in the
sneaking food?
book, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you mean by
No,
that? Yeah. Yeah. So,
no,
but
if you don't know, you don't know. And that's the thing.
right.
So
Right.
now you brought up something, Karen, that I mean, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
But now this brings up something that I want to kind of go back to last week for just a quick second for who was on the call, because I'm sure I didn't make any sense when I was talking about a blog post that I wrote about Noreen, my name. Okay, so I just want to tell you very quickly, but it will relate it to what we're talking about. I wrote a blog. This is a whole nother story about this blog, but when I was a little girl, I thought I was the only Noreen in the world. Like literally, when I was 12 years old, I met my first other Noreen, which was great, but I never met another one until I was in my 30s. And I owned a store at the time, and I knew one other Noreen in town. And so happened to be on a Saturday. I was the only one working in the store. The other Noreen came in and I said, "Hi, Noreen." There were 3 other ladies in the store and they all turned around and said, "Hi." And they were all Noreens. We were all Noreens. Here, we
Wow.
were just shocked. Now, one spelled Noreen, one was INE, one was ENE. We had different spellings, but we had that all in common. And what I didn't get to last week is that in the blog, I wrote that my struggle was obesity. That doesn't mean other people's struggles are spelled the same way.
Hmm.
And that's when you talked about losing your husband, I look at the thousands upon thousands of people who are going through their own struggle with this. It's spelled a different way. Grief, loss, family problems, divorce, all kinds of problems spelled different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And none of them, who wants to trade? Nobody.
No.
But people can identify when they have a similar story. And so
Mm-hmm.
how in the world, I know that you must have been using some tools from your boot camp, but how did you go through that? And maybe even back up to what tools were beneficial then, getting started and how that pulled you through that grief process.
Yeah, in terms of the tools, I went whole hog into boot camp. So I tried everything. Some things didn't work for me, or some things I modified to make them work for me. For instance, I have a checklist, and you showed it in the slideshow, but it doesn't look anything like the BLE checklist. The things that worked for me and the things that didn't work for me, I put them in I call it my toolbox. So I know they're there, and every once in a while I would try to take something out and dust it off. The 5-year journal is an example. I started doing it, and then I stopped doing it. And so I have, and then I started doing it in January of 2019. And I have to tell you, I'm glad I've got it, because John died in April of 2019. So I know day by day what we did for those first months. So that's one of the things that's in my toolbox. Some of the other things are in there is, my buddy. I bonded with my buddy. I had 3 different buddies who disappeared, dropped out. One admitted to me that she was lying and telling me that she was on plan, and she wasn't. But I bonded with my current buddy, Yolanda, who's in the Netherlands. And there was a picture of her in the slideshow that I went there in September of 2019, and we talk every Saturday morning. But we bonded separately because she posted a stressful situation that was going on in her family. And I connected because at the time, John was having bypass surgery. So this was in May of 2017. And so that's how our friendship started. And that's how we started being buddies. And we're still buddies today. And as I said, we talk every Saturday morning. It's not Zoom, we do a messenger video. So that's a very important one for me. And then there's my super duper mastermind group that
let's hear about that.
Barb Gray, who was on about a month ago or so, Barb put us all together. And she gave great advice on that call about how to curate your mastermind group, I believe is how she described it. And what she said is very true, is don't watch people. You like what they post, just don't say you need a buddy. It's really important that you bond on different levels. Mm-hmm. And there's 5 of us, and we range in age from 40s to 70s. And we live in 3 states, Oklahoma, Arizona, Massachusetts, the District of Columbia, and Alberta, Canada. And we have managed to all get together in October of 2019. I almost said 2020, but that could have been impossible. But we've been together other times. The first person I met was Laura Lively, and there's a picture of us, of Laura and I. She was in Boston, and then the mastermind group is in the fireplace, in front of the fireplace at my house. So that's a really important tool for me. Another one is my why. By the way, I'm a little hoarse too because I'm taking Benadryl and it makes you hoarse. But is to define the why that you have. Why are you doing this? And for me, it's been this. But I recommend you review it all the time. My why is to be healthier physically and emotionally, not to be thin. In fact, my husband was the one who said, I don't like that happy, thin, and free. He said, I think it should be happy, healthy, and free.
I like that.
So I kept it that way. Another tool for me has been, I read the James Clear book that was recommended called Atomic Habits. and I defined what my identity is, that I am or I aspire to be. Somebody just said they don't like the thin part either. And I identified that I want vibrant health. I want to be involved in my community, and I want to live simply. So those are things that, if you read James Clear, he talks about habits and establishing habits and routines. And I guess I would really recommend that. You showed on the slide my planner. Everything's in here.
Yes,
It's
that looked
not
amazing.
CLE, it's my life.
Wow.
I mean, I keep everything electronically, but I am somebody who needs to physically write things down. So that's all in there, the why, the checklist, the planner, and the plan. Writing a plan before the fact is very important for me. I cannot say that I 100% adhere to what I plan, but it gives me focus for what my day is going to be
And
what
options.
And options, right?
Because you never know what's going to come up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You can only say what happens, and then the phone rings in the morning and somebody needs you and you do what you have to do.
Well, I think I told you the other day too that I was trying to by writing it out, and I wanted to keep with it what I had written, and build integrity around my food. But my husband was very spontaneous,
right?
And he wanted to go out to eat, and so I was on a call, like one of those coaching calls, when I was in Bright Lifers, and I said something about that, and I believe it was Lynn Colston who said relationships are more important, and we did come to a compromise, which was, yep, I would at the spur of the moment go out to eat, but we had set restaurants that we went to that I knew I could get a Bright Line meal, and so that worked out beautifully.
Yes, that's great. And again, you probably didn't write it the night before.
No,
but
because he would come home from work and say, or come home from wherever and say, hey, I feel like going to blah, blah tonight, and so we'd go off to there.
And doesn't that kind of give you power too, that you've pre-thought that I do have choices, even if we're going to be spontaneous,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, for me, if I hear the word restaurant, I'm packing a tea bag in my purse, because it's going to give me a window of time, let's just say, as far as that willpower depletion of waiting. As soon as I get to a restaurant, I pull out the tea bag and I ask the server, would you please, bring hot water when you bring, the water, because then I'm getting ready right now.
Yeah.
And that has saved me so many times, just pre-planning that. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
and I just have one more to say besides what I said about the 5-year journal and writing a gratitude, non-scale victories in that. But I weigh myself every day. And I know there's, lots of conversations about that. But what I've noticed is that people who keep their weight down, people that I've worked with, my husband always had his weight in control. He weighed himself every day. And a lot of people do. The other thing about it to me is it does become information to you over time. And I personally can bounce up and down 3 to 4 pounds in a day. So I thought if I weighed myself once a month, that could be one of those days I was up 4 pounds, and boy, would I be discouraged. Right. Whereas if I weighed myself every day, it sort of smoothed it out over the
Think about that on maintenance. If you're up 4 pounds.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'd like to piggyback on that, because weighing every day has been important for me too. And we shared this a little bit, but one of the reasons is, in the past, the scale was not my friend, but I was I was making myself weigh myself every day for years, but without any knowledge of what is really happening on the scale. And I talked about this a little bit last week, and I think Robin jumped on, but I learned in one of the many diets, I think it was Crack the Fat Loss Code, where any carb that you eat, it actually attaches like 4 times its weight in water. And so if you're having like really high starchy vegetables, you're going to have more carb water. I mean, it can be like that. So imagine if you're having sugar or flour or alcoholic drinks, there is going to be an immense amount of water. And so you'll get on the scale and you'll be 2-3 pounds up. That's happened to me. It just happened this week. And I had done the math. I had gone off. I'm not proud of it, but I thought I was going to be logical that night. I thought, okay, I've been totally bright all week. I am going to actually see how many calories. And it was 750. In the morning, I was up 1.5 pounds. That's 5,200 calories, supposedly. So that made no sense unless you add the water to it. So, yeah. And I do agree. What if you pick an off day to weigh in if it's on a month?
Well, this is different for me because when my weight was going up and up and up and up and up, I was not weighing myself. I was living in a false reality that, oh, everything was fine. And then I'd see a reflection of myself and I'd be like, oh, or, you go to buy clothes and you just buy something because it fits, not because you like it, not because it looks good on you. You just buy it.
Right. Well, and I have to ask you, because you broke through some barriers to get down to the weight you are today. Did you have a mental chatter of just I this is good enough? Like,
Oh,
I don't need to get any further.
yeah. I felt actually when I had lost 50 pounds, I thought, ooh, I'm looking good,
Right.
And I think it was the mastermind and the buddy that kept me kind of focused. And I can't really stress enough how important I find those relationships are. They're very deep, wonderful relationships. So, yeah, there were times. Oh, actually, I had a time too. I think I shared with you about how I had gained some weight, but between physicals, I had lost weight, my annual physical with my doctor. And I said, oh, I gained some weight. And she looked at me and she said, you've lost and maintained over 100-pound weight loss. She said, she was, like very complimentary, and I think she said the exact words were, I would be happy if you stayed right where you are, and just maintained, because all my numbers are good. All my, cholesterol, blood pressure, and all that stuff.
Right. You could set a little booth there at the doctor's office.
Yeah.
And all the many people who are being advised you need to lose weight, but they have no idea how they're going to do that. They could just stop and talk to Karen.
Yeah. About 5 years ago, I switched doctors to her. And the first time I saw her, she said she wanted to refer me to and she's very, very supportive of natural ways to do things. But she said, well, at your age, it's very difficult to lose weight. And she talked about set points. And she was wanted to give me a referral to a gastric bypass. And I was horrified. So I left there and I went home and promptly gained 20 pounds.
Mm. Well, that was.
But then something clicked. And so, but no, there have been times with the barrier where I think, oh, this is good enough. And then I sit back and I go, no, I set a goal. I'm going to get to that goal.
And what is it that Tony, I think, says.
Oh, he says, close the deal,
Close the deal.
which reminds me of how mantras are really important to
Oh,
me.
yes.
So when I listen to these calls, there are certain things that people say, and I write those down, and then I take them, and they're mine.
Oh yeah, I swapped out my mantra for Barb's. It's like I am determined to get the
Determined.
job done. That's
Yeah.
it, buddy.
Yeah. Finish the job. If that's what
How
I
to
said
finish the
last December.
job.
Finish the
Yes.
job. Yeah.
But and
And
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that you've put it up in the slideshow, but one of my big ones, and this actually came from a Weight Watchers meeting. And I use it when there's been a lot of stress around when John was sick and when he died, is when I can't control anything else, at least I can control what I put in my mouth. And a sense of having control has always been important to me.
Well, that came really in handy with COVID.
Yeah.
Too, right?
Yep.
And that is, I mean, it's so true. I mean, even like through all the grief, Karen, I mean, how did you do that?
Oh, it was tough. I had a lot of support from loving family, friends, my mastermind group, my buddy. My why sort of, it was always, as I said, was about being healthier physically and emotionally. But I also felt when I started BLE that John's health, he was a long-term cancer survivor. And so that the treatments when he was in his 20s is what affected him. So he had declining health. And I lost my train of thought.
Well, just going
What
through
did you ask
grief,
me?
you maybe had to adjust, but you know what?
Oh,
One thing that you're saying is with the one steady thing you've had, it sounds like, is this camaraderie with your group. And
yep.
so, what I'm getting from you and the suggestion you had as far as to curate your group, don't just jump off. And I actually have. I jumped off and was like, yeah, let's get together. It disbanded like in 2 weeks. It was not good. And so it kind of gave me a bad feeling of maybe I didn't do my part, but other people had different circumstances. And I think one quit BLE. So,
Yeah.
So there you are, and you're like, oh, do I want to go through that again? But from what I'm hearing from you is that it's so worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Not only for the BLE stuff, but to get through the events, these moments of, pain, but sometimes the celebratory joy.
Right.
Like, you eat then too. And so it's all of it,
There's a lot of wisdom in other people. I mean, that in that group, there's a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
And as I said, we come from across the country, across the continent, and also multiple age ranges. So
right.
Different experiences, different situations.
So what surprised you the most about Bright Line Eating when you got going? Because here you had tried so many other things. Did you find it difficult at all with all these tools? Like a lot to juggle?
No, because I was trying them. I found it very time consuming. Very time consuming. And so I had to find ways to fit life around it.
Let me just ask you, when you're saying it's time consuming looking back, what would you have done differently now that you would tell somebody if they were starting up?
Oh, I wouldn't start out any differently.
Okay.
I would
jump worth it.
in whole hog.
Okay.
Jump in whole hog, dedicate as much time as you can to it. It's your life. it's your health. And over time, you will find what really works for you. And, you start getting used to it. Also, I really understood that I was going to feel crappy while I detoxed, but you got to keep going. And then one day, and I had a long period. I mean, some people say, oh, 5 days, 2 weeks, whatever. I think it was months.
Me too.
Where you were tired and just felt headachy. And, sometimes when all else fails, you just go to bed.
Right. Because otherwise you're going to be crabby.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't help anybody.
No. Hangry. In fact, one year in my Christmas stocking, I got a pair of socks that say hangry. So
where can I get some?
I don't know.
I want to ask you something about one of the charts that you had and a comment that you made the other day, and I want to see if the two connect. So I noticed that you have this chart with all these rows, numbers, check marks, and all this stuff. Now, another piece of me heard the word perfectionism. Now, do those two go together? What are all those things that you're charting? What?
First of all, about perfectionism, but my perfectionism was kind of weird because it was, I blew it today, so to hell with it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll start again Monday or January 1st or something like that. So if you noticed, I start out saying I'm going to do these different things. And a lot of times it's a no, it's an N. But I want to remind myself that I should be doing my back exercises. I want to remind myself that I didn't do it if my back's really bothering me, or my lines weren't bright. So at the end of the month, my weight went up, or I stopped recording walking because I lost my Fitbit. And I could use the one on my phone, but it hasn't been that important to me. I just sort of walk for, I have a dog now, so I walk the dog.
You just said something that really sparked in me.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know. I think that I heard this right. So you put a Y or an N, yes or a no?
Yes.
Now I have accountability charts.
Mm-hmm.
They're all check marks.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, what you're saying and doing sounds almost better. Like it's called showing up.
Yeah.
Whether it's a yes or a no, it's showing up. It's like not just don't check the box. You actually got to put the N in there, but you showed up. And to me, that is the way to keep ourselves engaged with this program. You have to show up every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like this isn't an all or nothing thing, because you can be bright for almost the entire day and have a slip up at noon and get right back on track by doing the next right thing and feel good about it.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that's very different about me now, is that I don't wait till Monday. I don't wait till January 1st. It's okay. You did it. Now get back on it. And you're going to feel better physically and emotionally, which is my why.
Right.
And
a funny thing that's happened to me, and I don't know if you do any baking at all.
Like
bright line baking. Do you do much of that or not?
Bright line baking?
Like
like
recipes.
muffin things?
Mm-hmm.
I used to make what they call Odies for breakfast. But it's probably about 8 or 9 months that I haven't had any Odies because I discontinued grain.
Okay, so why exactly did you discontinue the grain?
Um,
This is just the grain at breakfast.
yeah, I wasn't, the only grain that I was eating was these Odies, and I liked them a little too much.
Oh.
I found them like to be like cookies.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also, the other grain I would use would be on yogurt. It would be the shredded wheat.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that I was snacking on shredded wheat.
Oh.
So I discontinued and I substituted an extra protein. And I had gained about 25 pounds in before pre-COVID. In 2019, I gained about 25 pounds.
Was
And
this
then,
after John passed away?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I, um,
Made some adjustments.
yeah, I made some adjustments.
Yeah.
And so the weight came off and I'm lower than I was
Well, I
before.
just saw it on one of the official groups that you can substitute protein for grain. I don't know if it's
Oh,
exactly one-on-one, but I think it might be a half a
yeah.
protein for the grain. And I thought, to me, that is great because on Sundays, sometimes we have scrambled eggs with sausage. I don't need any Ezekiel toast. That to me would be great. So that's an option too.
Yeah.
So during this whole thing, what has been some of the what they call NSVs, non-scale victories that you've experienced? I mean, obviously losing
This
over
is going to be
100
so vain.
pounds.
This is going to be so vain.
Vain?
Clothes.
Oh, clothes, and that's beautiful, that sweater.
Thank you. Thank you. But I don't have a lot of clothes, but what I have is things that I really, really love. And I like how they fit and I like everything about it. And so that's one. I've got a bunch of them.
Let's hear
As I
'em.
said, I have a bad back. So this has really helped my back. I don't take any medication other than a multivitamin. Oh, by the way, I missed telling you that in September of 2018, I had a hip replacement.
Oh, great.
Yeah, well, no, it was great.
Okay.
It really changed my life. And the thing that really struck me was when they were putting me on the operating table, they said, "Oh, she's thin."
What?
So that was really
Wow.
cool.
Like what? Am I going under?
And then I told you I got a puppy last year, a COVID puppy. And I've lived on this street for almost 28 years. And I have met so many people just out walking. I mean, during COVID too.
Yeah.
But I found that I'm more outgoing. I'll talk to a complete stranger. And I never would have done that before. I just wanted to sort of disappear and be hidden.
Yeah.
I went gray. Or
This-
white, actually. It's white.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Physically more active. And I think my perfectionism streak, it's still there, but it's a bit less.
So you don't beat yourself up about this at all.
I know I'm going to get back to it.
You have
I know if I go off, and I had a period a couple of weeks ago where I went off, but I knew I would right the ship.
Is there anything that you do to help yourself during moments of struggle just with the program? So for example, for me, right in the beginning, because I went through months also of detox, it wasn't a 5-day program for me. It was months.
It wasn't me either, yeah.
And what I had before Bright Line Eating, my naturopath had, I had Lyme disease at one point in my life. It was really bad. And I was cured of that. Thank you, Lord, and finding this naturopath. But after that, she suggested that I use a protein Like I use a unflavored collagen. I use
Mm.
actually it's bulletproof. So I'll use a scoop and I still do, but it's good for your hair, your skin, but it also helps your hunger. It's only
Oh,
40 calories. And I thought there's no sugar or flour in this. I'm just going to keep doing this like medicine. And so that is one thing that helps me. If I'm really having, maybe it's a very stressful afternoon at work or something, I'll have it. I have tea, I'll have a scoop of my protein powder, and that just helps me so much to even out my afternoon or at night. I'll have it in my coffee in the morning. I just don't feel like I can go wrong with it.
I'll make decaf coffee because, during all of this, we have Zoom dinners with friends
Right.
and they're eating dessert. So I go
Oh,
make myself a cup of decaf coffee.
yeah. So you have no real health issues or anything since then.
Now, I
And
still have a bad back, but I
okay.
keep thinking about how bad the pain would be
Hmm.
because of inflammation. I mean, you eat
Yeah,
crap, you have inflammation.
absolutely. And that's, the biggest problem to all of this is I think the inflammation. I still have had a swollen foot last week. And so here's the funny part. I started out at 270 and I'm just about hitting 200. And so if I go under, and one day, this goes for everybody, it's going to be international. If you see the heavens open and you hear the angels singing, you'll know that I hit Wonderland. So, because it's been 27 years, baby.
I remember hitting Wonderland and it was just such a great day. The
Wow.
other one, and some people will identify with this, is when I started weighing less than my 6'2" husband.
Oh man, wow, that will be amazing that day.
Yeah.
When I weigh less than my husband, that would be shouted out. Wonderland is a great accomplishment. You bet.
Oh, it certainly is.
Yeah.
Oh, and every once in a while, like I commit and I send my weight every morning to Barb Gray, actually. And
She is a saint.
yeah, she is. But every once in a while, I do a typo and I put a 2 there. And it's like,
Oh,
then I go, oh, no, I don't weigh that.
well, I want to ask you a little bit about the clothes too, because
Yeah.
you went from bigger numbers. And did you ever have like the mind gap? Because I already have. Like, what size am I wearing now? Because it would
Oh,
go down. But you
you,
weren't
you,
buying your best clothes all the way down, were you? Were
I
you?
bought too many.
Yeah. Okay.
I bought too many. And what I have found is that you can be a small or a large, even now. Some manufacturers I wear small and and that's when I wear the shirt
Oh,
inside out so that
okay.
everybody can see it's small. But then there are some things I don't particularly like clingy, so if I like the thing, then I'll get large or a medium or something. But then I did buy clothes that I bought pre-COVID for a trip that got canceled. Um, and I've never worn them, and I put them on recently, and no, they're not going.
No.
They're way too big, and I don't know. I thought about bringing them to see if I could get them altered. I mean, they still have the tag on them.
Oh,
A couple of
wow.
dresses, yeah.
The
So,
funny thing about
or
clothes.
I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
or your mind is confused, and you think it looks good, and then 2 days later you take it and put it on, and you go, no, it does not look good. It's your old style.
I can't
Laura
even.
Lively, Laura Lively told me a couple of years ago um, to not to buy form-fitting clothes. I think is how she said it.
Well,
So,
Laura Lively's going to be on this show pretty soon, so she can talk about that. That's
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. So
But
that
yeah,
was good advice.
I can't tell you how many New Year's Eves one of my resolutions was going to be that everything in my closet fit me.
Oh,
Just to have
I
that.
I did that in the beginning, Noreen. I took everything out of my closet and put it away and put it in boxes
Wow.
and that didn't fit me because part of my stress or guilt or shame was the fact that I had all these things in the closet and they didn't fit.
Well, we
So
had
then
a
I would shop my closet.
wow. Yeah. And we had
I mean,
a
I'd
really,
shop those boxes is what I meant.
oh, yes. We had a really bad snowstorm here in Michigan a couple years ago. And I was off work for a week. That just never happens. But I had found out about Marie Kondo. And
Yes.
so I Marie Kondoed my closet with 5
Oh,
sizes in there at that time. But here was the funny thing about it. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Marie Kondo, but it's like
yes.
you thank the clothes for their service and give them off to the world. You know, it's funny. There were some pieces of clothing that actually fit me, but they had a bad memory tied to them.
Oh,
And it was so interesting to actually look at them and have that conversation and then just gently give them away. It's like
yeah.
you served me and I'm going to, say goodbye. And a funny thing, Ed Pettit, he posted something today and I didn't respond, but it was about the word hope. A couple days ago, somebody dropped off a bag on my desk as a little token that they had a leftover shirt from their event that they wanted me to have. And I pulled it out of the bag. And now think about this. I'm the old 3X, 2X gal, and it's a medium. And instead of thinking, what were they thinking? I thought, wow, they know me so well. Like, I don't know if they even looked at the size when they threw it in the bag. All I know is that's what I ended up with is a medium. And when I wear that, which I will, I'm going to take your advice and wear it backwards.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Yep.
everybody can see the size.
Yep. Absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the time here and we are really running tight. And we got to be on time. It's always busy. So, you know, um, Karen, I know there's somebody here tonight or someone who's going to be watching this in the future. And again, thank you so much for allowing me to record it. Um,
Well, I want to thank you, Noreen, for establishing this group and doing these. These are, I think, a 4-year veteran, and I learn from it, and it's
Thank
great.
you. There's nothing more inspirational to me than someone else's story.
Mm,
Doesn't there's we think we don't have the perfect story, so we can't tell it. No, that's what makes it even more special. I think it's through our struggle that we become stronger.
yeah,
And everybody's got a struggle. Everybody
yeah.
might have a different spelling, just like the name, that you're blessed with. Okay, but anyway, I want to give you a moment, Karen, to talk to someone who has been listening to this, listening to you, and looking for hope that they may be hanging on by a thread and they just want to change their life or they want to resume. What would you say to them?
Go for it. Go for it. Go all in. Um, Immerse yourself in it. Do everything. If you can, join a boot camp. If you can't, devour the book. Maybe do a 14-day. It has changed my life. It has enriched my life, and not just the weight loss. It's the learning, constant learning. I'm 70, and you can treat an old dog new tricks.
Level 7. You're level 7.
Yeah. Yeah, but I
Beautiful
said,
level 7.
and muscle through, and when all else fails, go to bed.
Right. Go to bed or get a puppy.
You got to get up, you got to walk.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to get you moving for sure.
Yeah.
But how wonderful, Karen. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
It's been great, and I really appreciate it. I want to thank everybody tonight for being here. I value you so much, and I hope I didn't miss any questions, but I know there are a lot of thank yous in the chat for you, Karen, and I just really appreciate everybody taking the time to be here. So with that, I'm going to close as I do each week. Good night. Stay bright. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
3-question Thursday. It's where everybody's a winner and I don't know the questions. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the first question. Okay. If you had only one breakfast that for the rest of your life you had to eat that breakfast, what would it be?
Oh, it's the one I'm doing now.
What is that?
I have 2 eggs and an omelet with, I put red pepper flakes in the eggs.
Okay.
And then I take a bowl with fresh baby spinach, and I have roasted sweet onions that I roast a whole big bunch of them. So I do spinach and the onions, and I put blue cheese on it, and I microwave it for 2 minutes, and then I put it in that's my omelet, because that's my half protein. I do 1 ounce of blue cheese.
Wow. So there's blue cheese in the omelet. Okay.
The blue cheese, I melt it on top of the vegetables in the microwave, and then I put it in the eggs. Love it.
Wow. That's
Sometimes I substitute, I might not have the onions, but it's always vegetables, not always spinach, but the spinach and the onions are my favorite.
wow, that is really great. Okay, what advice would you give to somebody? This is question number 2, and I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. What advice would you give to somebody who has all these clothes that they're going through? What do you do with them? Is there a specific thing that you do?
Yeah, I found, first of all, I got rid of everything I put it aside.
But at what point did you do that?
I did that in the beginning. Like, when they tell you to clean out your cabinets and stuff, when you're getting ready, I went through my closet too, and I only left in things that fit me.
So you started out with clothes that only fit you.
Yep.
Oh.
And then as I lost weight, I would go to those boxes and shop in those boxes for more clothes. So I didn't buy new clothes all the time. I was shopping until I got to a certain point, and those clothes, I got below that.
Till you ran out of clothes. Okay.
Yeah. The clothes that didn't fit me, that were too big for me. There's an ethical, or I don't know, that's not the way to say it. Sustainable, there's a collection box here in town.
Okay.
For an organization called Second Chances.
Okay.
And it's for, you heard for Dress for Success?
Uh-huh.
Well, it's sort of like that. It's for people that have been down on their luck and they're trying to get them back. Now, if they can't use them, they recycle the material.
Nice.
So I felt good about that versus nothing, no knock on Goodwill, but
right.
I feel better about this.
That's great. Okay, 3rd question.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you got throughout this entire journey? It's been a learning journey for you. Either you received, you read, or anything.
The best piece of advice.
Or one that you want to give.
The one I want to give is go whole hog. Don't go half-assed, go whole hog. the best piece of advice I got is probably one of Barb's pieces of wisdom. That you said it, to be determined.
Karen, again, thanks so much.
Thank you, Noreen.
I really appreciate it. And we will meet again. So
Yes.
thank you, and everybody,
And
good night.
and
Stay bright.
stay determined.
Stay determined, everybody. Stay bright.